Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Is that camera there? Just a second. There we go. Alrighty, welcome to the channel. As you can see behind me, got Jason right back there behind me. And we're going to do a top 11 Friday the 13th. This is going to be my least to my favorite. And being that there's more than 10, it cannot be called a top 10, but you know what I'm talking about. It's along those lines. But anyway, if you're new to the channel, welcome, and please subscribe. And if you're not new, welcome back. And everybody, please leave a comment letting me know your thoughts on this review and video. And if you agree, Jason's not in the little shot there. There we go. Okay, that'll have to do. Please leave comments below if you agree with this order that I have these in, and what you think of the Friday the 13th series and all that. So let's get started. My least favorite would be the remake. Friday the 13th Killer Cut from 2009. Did not like this movie hardly at all. The only thing good about this movie was Jason. I thought he was pretty cool in this, but the rest of the movie itself, not so good. I did like the fact where he was looking for his sister, but those are the only two. Only two things I liked about this movie were those two things. The rest of it, horrible. Could not even really stand watching it. It was just, I just didn't like it. Alrighty, so the next one that I like the least, Jason X. Jason X, in my opinion, should not have been made because Jason does not belong in the wood. In space. He belongs in the woods, and where it's dark and creepy, the way we all remember him originally. And this movie completely goes against that. It's not scary whatsoever. The teenagers in this movie are freaking annoying, and I just don't like this movie. Kane Hodder is the only good thing about this movie, and he played Jason. That was the only good thing about this movie, in my opinion. So, if you haven't seen it, and you really feel like you must, go check it out. But trust me, it's not all that great. And let me point out another good thing about this movie was the kill. I love the kill where he froze the girl in the nitrogen, froze her face, and then smashed it right there on the counter. That was pretty cool. That was an epic kill. Loved it. But that's it. That's all I liked about this movie. Okay, now, number 9. Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday. This movie, again, should not have been made because this shouldn't even be called The Final Friday. This should not even have Friday in the title because this movie was atrocious. It was Jason body swapping all the way through the movie. And a big thing about how only a family member can kill Jason, and it just made no sense whatsoever. First watched this movie when I was a kid. I hated it, but I've watched it since then. It's not horribly bad, but it is not. It definitely is not worth the money. I will tell you that. And so I don't recommend it if you haven't seen it. I do not recommend this movie whatsoever because it's just. New Line did this movie, and New Line should stick to Freddy, not Friday the 13th. But anyway, definitely don't recommend this. Alrighty, number 8. Oddly enough, is Friday the 13th Part 8. Jason Takes Manhattan. This movie wasn't too bad, but it wasn't a Friday the 13th that I'm used to, because Jason leaves his element and goes to New York. Technically, he goes to a boat, actually. And from what a lot of people say in their reviews is this should be called Jason Takes a Cruise Ship, because that's all Jason does on this, is kill people on a boat. And it's just not a Friday the 13th that really shouldn't have been made. I mean, I think they should have kept it in the woods, but I guess in a way that would have been, I guess it could have gotten boring. So I understand why they changed it, but they shouldn't have called it Jason Takes Manhattan, because they got everybody's hopes up, and everybody was all excited, like, because Jason was going to be in New York. Heck, I was one of them. I was like, oh man, this is going to be cool. Jason's in New York. And he's going to be killing people in New York. Well, he goes to New York in this, but he's only there for pretty much the end of the movie. It's not as much as you think, and technically, really in New York, it's Canada. And the only New York scene in this is the Times Square scene, which was really, really cool. That was cool about this, is the Times Square where Jason's looking around at everything, and it looks awesome. It looks awesome. But the rest of this movie, just not Friday the 13th material, in my opinion. All right, number 7. I believe I'm counting correctly. Yes, number 7 would be Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning. Now, this movie is the comedy version of Friday the 13th, in my opinion, because this is too silly to be called an actual Friday the 13th, because there's nonstop laughs all through this. And for those of you who have not seen this, spoiler alert, it's not Jason. Jason does not kill anybody in this movie. It is an ambulance driver. And it just wasn't... It was the comedy version of Friday the 13th. That's all I can say about it. But it wasn't horrible, but it was not the Friday the 13th that you're used to. I do recommend seeing it, though, just for your, just so you can say, hey, I saw it. But just so you know, it's not Jason. Alrighty, the next one would be Friday the 13th, the original, the uncut. The reason why this is so down so far on my list is because of the fact that when I first saw this movie, I thought it was very boring, very slow, and just didn't care nothing about it. I was just like, why am I watching this? Besides, my thoughts were that I watched part 2 already, and I already know what happened, so what's the point of even watching this one? Because this one was just slow as I don't know what, and it was a good movie, don't get me wrong. It was a good movie, but just slow, and just not much happening. You had a kill here and there, but it wasn't... it wasn't very fast. That's the only thing I didn't like about it, was just too slow and boring. I did like that Tom Savini did the kill, the special effects in this. That was pretty cool, because he did a lot of good kills in this. I just didn't like it because it was too slow. Alright, what number are we on? Let me see here. Let me count them here. Say 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're on number 5. Number 5 will be Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter. Now, I've seen reviews on this on YouTube, and a lot of people think this is the best out of all of them, and I'm not disagreeing, but it's not completely the best out of all of them. This one is a very good movie. It introduces Tommy Jarvis, the Tommy Jarvis saga, and Corey Feldman does a good job playing Tommy, and all that. So, I mean, I'm not hating on this movie whatsoever. Um, it's just not one of my favorite. It's not in my top three being my favorite. I was late to the dance watching this. I was like 15 years old when I finally saw this, 14, 15, something like that. And it just, and I had already seen part five before this one, and so I was kind of all out of order. But I do like this movie, don't get me wrong. I do like this movie. Um, it's just not in my top three. But I do recommend it. I do recommend you see it if you haven't already. Okay, number four, I'm sorry. No, I can't count. Number 4. Wait a minute, I think I got one out of order. I did. Okay. Number 4. Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. This movie I just watched not too long ago, and it's still as great as I remember it the first time I saw it. I love this. This introduces Kane Hodder as Jason, and he does a great job as far as I'm concerned. He is Jason, and he will always be Jason, no matter who you get to play him in the future. But this is a good movie. Tina is telekinetic. She can move stuff with her mind, and she puts the fight to Jason. She takes the fight right to him. Jason hardly ever gets a hand on her, and you can see him getting ticked off because he cannot get a hand on her whatsoever. But very good movie. Now the kills in this are kind of cut down. The director said that the MPAA really cut down on the kills, so the kills aren't the way he wanted them to be. He didn't like it, and so this is what we have. And unfortunately, from what I heard, there's not going to be an uncut version of this because the footage is no longer available. Like, it does not exist anymore. Which I find odd because if you go on this DVD right here to the deleted scenes, it actually has footage of the kills that were cut out. So technically you do have it. Why don't you just put it in? Just fix it up and then put it in. But I don't know. I don't know how movie things work, so I could be completely wrong. But anyway, definitely recommend this movie. Very good. It keeps your attention all the way through. Some people like this movie, some people don't. But I like this movie. I think it's really good. Definitely recommend it. Okay, now we finally get to number 3. I've been saying 3 for the past, 5 minutes? Number 3 would be, and my background went away. Doing this on, I don't have the fancy equipment like most people do, so I'm using my computer screen as my background. And it went away. But anyway, number 3 is Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. And I love this movie. And the reason why I love this movie is because, for one, there's kids at the camp this time. All the other movies, it's a camp, but there's no kids. But in this one, they actually have kids, which I thought was very awesome because it made it more, more interesting because, Jason don't really harm kids. I mean, we all know this, but it was still cool to see him react with them and stuff like that. Which there is a scene in this where he does actually interact with one of the kids, and it's really cool. So, if you haven't seen this, check it out, and it's very good. It's got humor in it. They don't make fun of Jason, thank goodness, because if they did, this probably wouldn't be as good. But, you know, there's humor in this, there's car chases, there's action. There's 3 songs in here by Alice Cooper, which Alice Cooper's the man. I love Alice Cooper. And the songs that he did in this are awesome. And just recommend this all the way. Nothing bad to say about this whatsoever. All right, number 2. Number 2 is Friday the 13th Part 3. And Friday the 13th Part 3 is when Jason first gets his hockey mask, which I thought was really cool. Of course, back when I was a kid, didn't think much of it because, well, the series was just beginning. This was the second Friday the 13th movie I ever saw, and this one was really good. Loved it. Now the acting in it, after I've watched it since then, the acting in this is not the greatest. And I watched interviews and the documentary, and they focused more on the 3D effects on this, which the 3D effects are pretty bad in this, but it's still a good movie, I think. Even though the 3D effects are kind of silly. But they were focused more on the 3D effects of this instead of the acting, and that's why the acting in this is not as good as most of the others. But I definitely recommend this. It has some good kills in it. It's just really cool. Very good movie. Check it out. And my number 1 favorite Friday the 13th movie is, as if y'all can't guess already, Friday the 13th Part 2. And the reason why this is my number 1 favorite is because this was the very first in my life Friday the 13th movie I ever saw. And I was 9 years old when I saw it. Scared the crap out of me. I had never, ever once saw a scary movie since then, or before then. And this movie scared me. And I watched this movie during the day, and it still scared me. And that's why this will be my number 1 every time, because of that very reason. This was the very first Friday the 13th I ever saw. I love this movie here. I love Jason in it. He looks awesome. This movie was back then scary. Not so much today, but back then it was scary. And if you want to see my thoughts on 1 through 8, Friday the 13th 1 through 8, go to my Friday the 13th movie review section here on my channel, and you'll be able to see the full movie reviews of Friday the 13th 1 through 8. I'm going to get to the others soon. I haven't forgotten them. I've just been wanting to do other stuff until then. But go check out my reviews of these 1 through 8 and leave comments and let me know what you think of them if you haven't already. Because I give some pretty good reviews on these, and especially this one. And so please go check it out. But anyway, that is my Friday 13th movies from worst to least. I mean, worst to, I cannot talk. Worst to best. And so yeah, hopefully you liked this video. If you agreed with me on these choices that I put in the order that I put, please leave comments below. Let me know what your thoughts are, and let me know what your favorite Friday the 13th movie is. And thank you for watching. I really appreciate everything that you've all done since I've started this channel. Those of you who have watched my videos from the very beginning, I very much appreciate it. And I appreciate every one of my subscribers, of course. Love all of y'all. Thank y'all for subscribing and helping me out. Please spread the word, though. Just because you subscribed doesn't mean you can't tell other people about the channel. So tell all your friends, tell your family, tell them all about this channel and encourage them to subscribe as well. But anyway, I appreciate it, and like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.